Serious allegations made against Ward 40 ANC candidates by residents of the Kanana informal settlement in the Western Cape have led them to say they will stay away from voting come the November elections if their party doesn't tend to their grievances. Newzroom Afrika reporter Nasiphi Same joins us now from Athlone. Nasiphi, good afternoon to you. What's the mood there?
Well, Stephen, earlier on the mood was generally not okay, where residents had obviously levelled those serious allegations against their ward councillor and also the party itself, saying that they had not voted for the candidate that is standing for Ward 40 come these municipal elections that are about 4 weeks away. They did also say that services in their community is only given to a few individuals or some individuals that are affiliated to the ward councillor, and also have said that the councillor is allegedly at the centre of the division within that ward. But I am joined here by the ANC head of elections in the Western Cape, Cameroon Dugmore. Cameron, let's talk about some of these allegations that have been levelled against the councillor or the candidate in Ward 40, Guguletu. We do understand that the residents are saying that they did not vote for him. What happened?
Yeah, I think the first thing I'd like to ask, or maybe suggest to Newzroom Afrika, is whether you've actually interviewed the councillor. You obviously have spoken to certain people, but I would urge you, after this interview or when you have time, to actually go and interview the councillor, because it's very important in all of these issues to get different sides of the story. But it's very clear. The candidate won with 499 votes, and the second best was 316. But in every ward, there are a number of different VDs. It can be 5 or 6 VDs. And what we experienced here was a concerted attempt by a small group of people to actually disrupt voting in certain of the VDs. But the result was resounding. Now, every ANC candidate, every ANC member has the right to submit a dispute. And we have committed that every one of those disputes needs to be looked at and will be looked at. But the reality is the ANC had to register candidates. Here was a candidate who won with almost 500 votes compared to 316 of the second largest number. And so we registered Councillor Ngombolo. That is the reality. But the issue is, in terms of your introduction, you've raised issues of services. One thing we must remind people of Cape Town, the DA has been governing this city for 15 years. So when it comes to service delivery, I fail to understand how one councillor can actually influence service delivery. That is a ward councillor. Service delivery, finances for indigent grants and so on come from the city. So I think people need to be very specific with the allegation, and those allegations need to be followed up. But we have gone through an incredibly open and transparent process. It hasn't been easy, because the reality is some of the disputes which have been lodged, and I'm not passing a judgment on this one, have been valid. Others have actually been simply a case of sour grapes. You've wanted to be the councillor, you didn't succeed, you didn't get enough nominations, and then you possibly decide. And this happens in different parties as well. You decide to join another party or stand as an independent. But the real issue for me in Ward 40 is to deal with the real concerns of the people. The issues of the failure by the DA to actually deliver services. And if there's an allegation that services have been delivered by one councillor, we've got to investigate that. The reality is here, and I want to appeal to the residents of Ward 40, if there's going to be a situation where some of those in one VD decide not to vote, we are increasing the chances of the DA, who has failed for 15 years to deliver into the informal settlements, into places like backyard dwellers. So there's absolutely no way that we can afford to waste a vote. And we're calling on everyone, let's unite behind the candidate and let's actually vote for the ANC and get rid of the DA from the city.
We understand, according to the residents, that the ANC had promised that they were going to attend to their grievances post the local government elections.
As I've said, every single grievance and objection will be considered. The reality is our provincialist committee faced, over almost 60 or 70 grievances. And as I said, the provincialist committee also was newly appointed, relied on regional interview and vetting panels, and didn't always have the administrative backup to deal with everything. But it's clear that in Ward 40, The councillor, the candidate who emerged with a vast number of votes, has been successful, has been registered. So we will deal with those issues after the election. But for now, we've got a campaign to win.
Talking about a campaign to win, another problematic, or rather a ward where residents seem to be divided is Ward 94 in Khayelitsha, where the councillor there had stepped aside after she made derogatory statements and disclosing someone's status. What is the ANC going to do in uniting that particular ward? I mean, you speak about regaining the numbers and uniting behind a ward councillor or the ANC itself.
Yeah. I think we must be clear that those are allegations of derogatory comments about someone's status. And like everyone, that particular individual member has the right to appear before court. But the ANC is very clear, and this is part of our culture now, from the president down. If you have charges against you of a serious nature, you have to step down. And that is what has happened in this particular case. So we're appealing to everyone to accept that this is the part of the renewal of the ANC. That particular person has the right to go to court and prove her innocence if she's innocent, or be convicted if she's guilty. But the reality is we now have to, once again, like in Ward 40, which we've just talked about, are we going to allow these divisions to impact on voting for the ANC and getting rid of the DA in the city of Cape Town, who's neglected these communities? And that is what our focus is. So we have been engaging at a number of levels. We will be speaking to the community, and we are convinced that at the end of the day, the vast majority of that ward will see that it's in the best interests of their community and of the ANC to vote for the ANC candidate who is now been registered and will be standing.
Thank you so much. Cameroon Dugmore there, the head of elections in the Western Cape, saying that they are calling on residents, actually, particularly in Ward 40, to stand together behind the nominated ward candidate. And he is saying that the grievances that they have tabled before the ANC in the Western Cape will be tended to post the local government elections.
Nasiphi Same in the Western Cape, thanks very much indeed. Do appreciate that live update. Well.